Hello and welcome to our first research article in 2021. This article is focused on policy analysis and how it should be structured if we tend to agree that the objective is that we should be trying to maximise human welfare across its population. This is about living long, healthy and happy lives. We chose to write this article now because there's been a number of calls from leading academics and think tanks to place well-being at the centre of policy analysis instead of how it's currently done, which is placing well-being as an additional consideration in policy analysis. This time we're going to go through some slides and Jess is going to be the one talking you through those.
In section 1, the paper outlines two main approaches to policy analysis. These are the monetary approach and the well-being approach. The monetary approach typically uses cost-benefit analysis, and the unit of measurement will be the local currency. This analysis involves considering all of the direct and indirect benefits and costs of a policy change. These are aggregated, and policies with the best benefits to cost ratios are the ones that are selected. The well-being approach combines measures of subjective well-being and life expectancy in order to produce well-being adjusted life years, and this is used as the main unit of measurement in the analysis of a policy. This makes it possible to judge policies in terms of their relative cost per well-being adjusted life year. There are a number of methodological challenges facing both approaches, which we outline in section 2 of the paper. For example, since policies affect human lives, it is necessary to try to value each person's life. Depending on the method used, the valuation figure can vary widely. As a point of interest, the well-being approach tends to produce figures that better match the revealed valuation of life that has been observed in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Policies will impact different groups of society differently, and it is not a straightforward process to appropriately capture this in the analysis. It is also not straightforward to determine whether different values should be given to the well-being of different generations. For example, a policy could reduce well-being today in order to reap wider well-being improvements in future years. There is not a consensus on the correct approach for this issue. Often, a policy change will impact well-being across a number of dimensions that might be interrelated. It is important to isolate the individual impact of each of these dimensions on well-being to avoid double counting in the analysis. Lastly, as a result of uncertainty about the future, often assumptions need to be made in the analysis and forecasts may prove to be inaccurate. These inaccuracies could significantly impact the final policy proposal and may lead to unintended consequences that were not considered in the analysis. In section 3, we outline our recommendations for how government should proceed in order to create policy to improve lives. We believe that a dashboard of economic and social indicators should be created, which will require the government to form a policy strategy that is both values and data-driven. The data production would be managed by the National Statistical Office, and governments would be required to create transparent objectives for policy based on the trends in the data. This would need to be updated periodically in order to respond to changes. Then, in terms of analysis of individual policies, we split the approach into 3 categories. First, where the well-being effects can be estimated, this should be used above any other approach. This should be considered the gold standard in policy analysis. Second, where well-being effects are difficult to estimate, but we are confident that the monetary approach accurately captures the welfare effects of a policy, then we should use this method instead. Third, where neither approach is adequate, this should be flagged as a future area of well-being research, and we support the recent suggestion to create a well-being policy agency that will help to generate new evidence to be used in policy analysis. Next, outside of the policy analysis, we believe there are a few ways that should help to create an environment for progress in policy. These include greater transparency regarding how policy decisions are made and what data is considered when making these decisions. Where possible, the opportunity for experts to provide feedback on policy proposals will help to reduce risks of unintended consequences. Increasing diversity of thought, experience and background will help to mitigate risks of biases in policy creation and lead to more representative policy proposals. Lastly, on facing methodological challenges, firstly, we believe that using life years rather than lives in policy analysis is a more proportionate and fair approach. This is consistent with the view of the general population too. Second, We think that adjusting the discount rate used in the analysis is a useful way to capture those instances where the impacts of investment today on future generations could be large, such as climate change. Third, we think that, where possible, distributional concerns should be captured within the empirical analysis. Where this is not possible, qualitative analysis on distributional effects should help to sway close calls in favour of marginalised groups in society. Lastly, current models rely on a number of large assumptions, but as the models and evidence improve, the accuracy of the policy proposals will become more accurate. Thanks for watching our video. We hope you enjoy reading our article, and we would love to hear from you if you have any feedback.